Well, the absolute downside to having a lot of fragrances. There's fragrances that I absolutely love. If I was still doing a numbered rating system, these would be, and have been in the past, some of the highest overall ratings I've ever given to fragrances. I absolutely love all 12 of these that I'm about to feature in this video. Unfortunately, I just don't wear them enough. But I want to talk to you about them because they deserve the spotlight. I really thank you guys for trying them. So stay tuned. Starting with one of my favorite fragrance DNAs ever made, but I actually wear the two flankers I have of this more, that being PRADA L'Homme, believe it or not. I just don't wear this enough. I haven't worn it in a long time, and it is one of my favorite fragrance DNAs ever. The Intense, I wear more. Low, I definitely wear more. And for the longest time, this was my favorite, but technically those are my favorite over this because I wear them. I don't wear this enough. This is known as one of the greatest office fragrances, one of the best soapy iris fragrances, all that good stuff. It is all that in a bag of chips. All the good things you've heard about it, I agree with. I think it's all that in a bag of chips as well. So for some reason or another, because I always have different things I'm testing or working on or random thoughts of stuff to wear, for some reason, PRADA L'Homme, one of my favorite fragrance DNAs ever made, just doesn't get enough love. It's fantastic. It performs above average. It's, for being a soapy fragrance, kind of a different soapy fragrance. For being an iris fragrance, kind of a different iris fragrance. It kind of has a unique, as strange as that sounds, unique DNA for what it is. For being iris, it's probably the soapiest, at least for me, iris fragrance I've ever smelled. It's got some spices to it. It's got a little touch of cardamom, adding a slight sweetness in the background, but it's great. And shame on me, I do not wear this enough, but it deserves the love. And if you haven't checked it out, you really should. That is PRADA L'Homme. Still my favorite flanker in the line. I've yet to smell one that I like more. I have a handful of the flankers from the Armani Code line, and for me, Profumo is still my favorite. It's still the one I love the most. And I just never wear this. I've always described it as a chocolate powdery leather because that's how it smells on my skin. Damn it, it still smells great. This is a powerhouse. This 30 ml is old. I've had this 30 ml for a couple of years, and I just don't wear it like I used to a couple of years ago. I couldn't tell you the last time I wore this. It's been so long. I really should pull it out. It's the perfect weather for it. This is a fragrance I don't need more than 4 or 5 sprays of because it's an absolute beast. And it's not too sweet. Like Armani Code Absolute can be too sweet. I got to really be in the mood for extremely sweet to wear this one. A lot of vanilla and tonka bean. Whereas here, the tonka bean is very prominent, but it's not a vanilla bomb. There's some leather to offset that tonka bean, because tonka bean is the core of what Armani Code's DNA is all about. It's attractive. It's very, very geared towards the cold weather because it cuts through it so well, and it has a little bit of a warming effect without being a spicy fragrance. One that doesn't get any love. Nobody talks about it anymore. Still one of my all-time favorite designer fragrances, and still my favorite in its own line, is Armani Code Profumo. I just don't wear it enough. One that, shame on me, I have not been wearing, and I think it is absolutely phenomenal. The hype is real. This is a bona fide, hyped up, hype beast designer fragrance, that being ROCHAS Moustache Eau de Parfum, the famous inspired version of YSL Tuxedo. Look, it is all that. It's great. The hype is real in this one, guys. Benzoin, vanilla, ambery type of smell, but I get a lot of pepper, vanilla, patchouli with that ambery smell going on here. It's gorgeous. It's an above average performer without being a beast. It's smooth and refined, but not too serious at the same time. You can definitely pull this off with a t-shirt, but it also dresses up extremely well. This is a beautiful, masterfully done fragrance. It really is, and they sell out almost instantly. Every time they stock up at a discounter, because so many people want to get their hands on it because it's so popular. And it deserves the popularity. It is that good. I love this fragrance. But for one reason or another, I just don't wear it enough. And that was the idea behind this video in the first place, was compile a list of fragrances that I adore. Some of the highest rated fragrances I've ever talked about that I just don't wear enough. And this is a prime example that's not that old for my collection. I haven't had it but a handful of months, and I don't wear it enough. After the review, I kind of stopped wearing it for some reason, but it deserves more attention from me, and definitely from you if you haven't tried it yet. Moustache EDP. I believe this is discontinued. I've recommended this many times in the past on cheap beast mode fragrance videos, great affordable fragrances. You can still find them for a decent price here and there. They're not as readily available as they used to be, but kind of the ultimate version of Boss Bottled still. Boss Bottled Intense Eau de Parfum. You see the juice level. I just don't wear it. I actually wear the original more than I wear this one, and I don't wear that one that much anymore either. I have so many Boss Bottled flankers that the cream of the crop kind of gets lost in the shuffle. This is the best one in my opinion. I still think this is the way to go if you can get your hands on this for an affordable price. This is the best version of the Boss Bottled DNA. True to the DNA, rich, warm apple pie, and performs. For the longest time, it was very cheap. You can get it for under $40 from most discounters. And shame on me. Just don't wear it. It's great. It really is. It's a great fragrance. Those of you that have this, you know exactly where I'm coming from with this. It is the ultimate Boss Bottled fragrance. Better than the original. Technically better than the new Eau de Parfum. The Eau de Parfum is a more modern take on that DNA, on this DNA. Whereas this is just a rich version of the original. If you love the original, that makes this a must-have. And like I said, I haven't worn this in a long time. This is another one I need to get in a rotation sooner rather than later because it deserves the love. If you haven't checked it out, I don't know how easy it's to get these days, but you really should look into Boss Bottled Intense Eau de Parfum. Smells like a fresher, fruitier take of Aventus, and I actually like it more than Aventus. I haven't worn this in a solid minimum 6 to 8 months. It is bondnumber9.com. If you've been watching me for a little while, you've heard about how much I love this fragrance. I reference it pretty much every time I reference Aventus, honestly. It's my favorite. It's my absolute favorite version of that DNA. Performs great. It's fresh, fruity. It's a great spring, summer, early fall fragrance. Really year round if you want to smell fresh. I just don't wear it enough. I picked this one up from Steve at Kingdom Fragrances a while back. Wore it a handful or so of times. Did a review, and I've worn it a few times since. Don't get me wrong, but I couldn't tell you the last time I wore this fragrance. It's my favorite Bond Number 9. I've only tried so many Bond Number 9 fragrances. I only have 2 full bottles, this in Bleecker Street, and it's definitely the first one I had to get because it was just, I've always thought it was so good ever since the first time I smelled it, and it's one of my favorite fragrances that I just don't wear. It's crazy the more I talk about the fragrances through this video and I look at them and I think about how I feel about them, and it's just, am I crazy? Why am I not wearing this incredible fragrance? And that's again, I go back to that is the absolute downside of having too many fragrances, because what I have is too many fragrances. But at the same time, I love the variety. I love discussing and giving you my thoughts on different fragrances. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a catch-22, damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. The damned if you do is wonderful fragrances like this get pushed to the side and not worn enough. So if you haven't tried this, get a Bon sample. Definitely get your nose on this. I think it's better than Aventus personally. That is bondnumber9.com. Bit more feminine of an iris fragrance. It's a raspberry iris violet type of fragrance, and I was hyped when this came out. I was lucky enough to get my hands on it very quickly, not too long after release, and I do smell the atomizer randomly, but I just don't wear it enough. Juliette Has a Gun Lipstick Fever. It is my favorite from the house. The cedarwood in the dry down kind of adds a little bit of an edge and takes away some of the feminine leaning characteristic of this fragrance, but it's one of the best iris fragrances I've ever smelled. It's a happy fragrance for me. It just makes me smile. It puts me in a good mood when I smell it. It's that damn good. Is every guy gonna like this? Absolutely not. It's definitely a feminine leaning fragrance. I mean, hell, it's called Lipstick Fever, you know. But man, if you like Iris, it's absolutely worth a sample. It's worth at least getting your nose on it to have the experience, because you may have to have it. Actually, the notes are right here. This is a tester bottle. So you can see the notes right there on the side of the sticker. Top of raspberry and violet absolute, heart of patchouli essence and iris absolute, base of vanilla absolute. But I believe there is some cedar, because I get a little bit of a cedar wood smell in the base. That with the patchouli adds a little touch of masculinity, tones down some of the lipstick smell, but such a lovely, gorgeous iris, the way it's blended. This raspberry note up top. Not a beast in performance, but you see, I just keep going back to smelling it. It's an addictive smell for me, and shame on me. I just don't wear it enough, but I absolutely love it. It's Juliette Has a Gun. Lipstick Fever. Back-to-back iris fragrances, and I like this more than pretty much everything it smells like. I like this more than Dior Homme Intense. I have smelled Valentino Uomo Intense. I just don't own a bottle of it. It's been a long time, but I like this more. And I like this more than Gentleman Boisé, that being Gentleman Eau de Parfum. Yes, I've recommended this one several times over the years since I've gotten it. And it has been a while. God, so creamy and balmy. Rich, beautiful iris. I mean, you guys know I love iris, and one of the better designer iris fragrances. I mean, hell, 3 iris fragrances so far in this video that I just don't wear enough. And iris is my favorite note in fragrances. That has, you know, from several years ago, I used to not enjoy floral fragrances, to where now that's kind of my jam. My favorite is iris dominant fragrances. Hell, I made an iris fragrance with Business Over Pleasure. And this is so well done. It has that refinement of Dior Homme Intense, but it's not quite as sweet. Like I said, it's a bit more balmy and creamy. There's some Tolu balsam, if I remember correctly, in the base. That kind of adds that creamy, thick nature to it. And honestly, I think this one dresses down a bit better. You can wear this one with a t-shirt a little bit easier than you can a Dior Homme Intense. Dior Homme Intense just screams dressed up formal to me. But man, it's, again, shame on me. A fragrance I absolutely adore that I just don't wear enough. And if you haven't gotten your nose on this and you like iris, you're doing yourself a disservice. Definitely try this one. Givenchy Gentleman EDP. The Guerlain L'Homme Ideal line. Full of great fragrances. Some underrated, like Sport and Cool, for example. People don't really give them a chance. And then some are just home run bangers, like the L'Intense. This is an older style bottle. That's why it's solid black. The newer style bottles are translucent, but the juice hasn't changed. And I gotta tell you, you still get a little bit of that cherry from the EDP. You get, of course, that creamy almond smell, but a lot of leather and smoke. There's an actual smoke accord. Makes for this beautiful, beautiful, soft, rich, smoky leather cherry almond scent. It's so good. So good. Dare I say, one of the best designer fragrances in my collection. And I couldn't tell you the last time I wore it. I couldn't tell you. And I'm pretty good about that stuff with my memory. Another great fragrance that I love. I just don't wear it enough, unfortunately. And I need to make it a point. Every fragrance in this video. One of the reasons I'm doing this is to get them in the forefront of my mind. To tell you guys what I think about them, why I love them so much, and keep them. I'm actually going to keep them up here by my rotation table so they can make their way in and out, because these fragrances are so damn good, like this L'Intense flanker, that they deserve to get worn as soon as possible, because the scent profiles are just that good. Guerlain L'Homme Ideal L'Intense. Next, this is one of my favorite sub $30 fragrances. I've recommended this many times to you guys, even over its more popular Intense flanker, that being Bentley for Men. It's been a little while. I do recall the last time I wore this. It was last winter. I just don't remember the exact date, but it was around the time that I did the battle video between this and the Intense. I had wore it like 2 or 3 times after that. Boozy, spicy leather. Not as much leather as the Intense. Doesn't have that heavy smoke accord. It's not full of dense woods. The bay leaf isn't toned up too heavily. like it is with the Intense. It's less intense, obviously, but the rum and the spices shine a lot more. This is much more wearable, easygoing, and I really feel like it fits a lot more situations than the Intense. It's not so in your face, but still a great performer, and it's usually a few dollars cheaper than the Intense. The quality's there, the performance is there, and if you like boozy and spicy, this is a great fragrance. I'm one of the few in the crowd that I think ever talks about this one, especially over the Intense. The Intense is great, not knocking the Intense. I just like this one a little bit better because of the wearability, the enhanced spice and booze, and the toned back rough edginess, which is the leather, the dense woods, the bay leaf, and the incense from the Intense. So it's been a solid year since I've worn this one. It's my favorite Bentley fragrance over all the fresh ones. Every Bentley fragrance I have, it is my favorite Bentley fragrance, and I need to wear this one sooner than later because it is deserving of it. It's that damn good. Please try this one. If the Intense wasn't for you, maybe the original is. Bentley for Men. One that I hold in such a high regard, I just don't wear enough. It's my favorite vetiver heavy fragrance. It's got a lot of elemi, citron going up top. It's gorgeous. I love this damn fragrance. I just don't, I mean, it's been so long since I've worn it. I don't need more than 4 sprays because it's absurdly powerful. It's Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum, the newest version, not the 2012. The 2012, I do have a decant of, and it's much more aromatic barbershop. Whereas this, you still get all that citrus, but it's more creamy resinous from that elemi with a lot of this soapy, slightly woody, fresh vetiver. It's a beautiful fragrance. Got a little bit of green spice to it, but it's more fresh than warm. Like I said, potent, refined, masculine, and mature. Not something most guys under 30 are going to enjoy. It's definitely more the refined classic style. Just a rich parfum version. This is the best version in my opinion. Better than the EDT, better than the Cologne, better than the Extreme, which I have all of those. I don't have some of the old flankers that are next to impossible to get. And I like I said, I have a decant of the previous version of this, which is incredible. And it's hard to really pick a favorite between the two. But of the 4 that I have, this is hands down the best version. And like I said, I haven't worn it forever. For a designer fragrance, it's quite pricey, $130, $140 range when I purchased it a couple years ago. But, I mean, I've worn it a little bit. You can see the juice level, but not enough. Not enough. This deserves a lot more sprays on my skin for sure. It's just a very situational fragrance. I wouldn't consider this something to just wear every day or lounge around with a zip-up hoodie like I'm doing right now. You know, this definitely begs a much more formal approach, and I don't dress as formal as often these days. So that's one of the reasons it doesn't get worn as much. But man, I love this stuff, and I just don't wear it enough. Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum. One that is a channel favorite, a classic channel favorite. I was smitten with this fragrance when I first got it. I couldn't get enough of it, and I just have not been wearing it. And I made it a point in a video of fragrances I want to go back to wear this one this winter, and I've yet to wear it, honestly. That is Parfums de Marly Carlisle. I just haven't. For some reason, it never pops in my mind to wear. Oh, and it's so good. So good. A little bit of bright fruitiness up top, but it's got this sweet resin type of smell. Sweet and resinous. There's some Opinox in here. People say it smells like red tobacco. I find that to be a faint similarity. Red tobacco's got a lot more oud and smoke, and it's pungent and stuff like that. The sweetness and kind of boozy smell is similar, but I don't even think this has any booziness in it. Green apple, saffron, nutmeg, tonka bean, osmanthus, divana, and rose, vanilla, patchouli, and Opinox resinoid. I get the sweetness, I get the vanilla, I get that beautiful kind of sticky resinous smell. That's got to be that Opinox. And it's such a beautiful fragrance. I do get that blast of apple up top, that fruitiness that I was talking about. And this is an absurdly powerful fragrance. This is well beyond 12 hours. Don't need more than 4 or 5 sprays. Long, strong scent trail with some pretty heavy projection in the first couple of hours. It's great. Shame on me for not wearing it, because it is absolutely great. One of the most justifiably awesome purchases from the house of Parfums de Marly. You cannot go wrong with this fragrance, in my opinion. One of the better winter kind of mass appealing niche fragrances out there, because it's not challenging. It smells incredible, and performance is important to a lot of people, and this stuff performs. I need to wear this more. PDM Carlisle. Last but not least, I think the last time I wore this, I didn't even live in this state for sure. I still lived in Texas. And it's a gorgeous fruity iris, clean musk that I don't wear enough. I do remember the last time I wore this. It's been over a year and a half, I think, since the last time I wore XERJOFF ACCENTO. And this is one of the best fragrances I have ever smelled for my taste. This suits me so well. I used to love to wear this with a suit and tie. This is a show out kind of fragrance. You get that pineapple juicy fruit smell up top. There's some hyacinth and iris to give this kind of fresh purple floral type of tone. Powdery but not too powdery, and there's this gorgeous clean musk. Gorgeous clean musk. It's a little soapy. It's very aromatic. It performs great. It's loud. It's very loud, but it's not an overwhelming scent profile to where it can be loud but not obnoxious at the same time. This stuff, back when I used to do a numbered system, I gave this a 9.5 overall, which, if you know me, I don't do 10s, and a 9.5 is a 10 from me. That's how highly I think of this fragrance, and it's been a long time since I've worn it. Like I said, over a year and a half, and I need to find an excuse, a situation, something to wear this, because it's, like I said, one of the highest ratings I've ever given a fragrance overall, because I like it that much. And if you haven't tried it, try it. Absolutely get your nose on it. If a fruity iris fragrance sounds good to you with some muskiness, not the most masculine fragrance in the world, but very refined and put together, and performs incredibly. The only XERJOFF full bottle I own, and it's phenomenal. I love it. I just don't wear it enough. XERJOFF ACCENTO. Interesting video topic and format, I know. I just was looking at some of my fragrances, and it's like, you know, I'd never wear that. Why do I never wear this? And after 3 or 4 fragrances, I was like, let's talk about it on video. This is a problem, okay? These are fragrances I absolutely adore, and I just don't wear enough. And like I said, me just pulling them out to make sure they're right there in my view all the time isn't good enough. I wanted to talk about it with you guys and let you know my thoughts and feelings, and these are going to start making the rotation. Slowly but surely, you're going to see 1 or 2 of these pop up in the weekly rotation videos, because they're so damn good, they deserve more wear. And until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. What's some of your favorite fragrances that you just don't wear enough? Do you have a sizable enough collection to where that happens to you? Because that could be something as simple as having 20 fragrances where you just keep going back to the same 2 or 3, and ones that you love just kind of get lost in the shuffle. Let me know down in the comments. Until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the 12 that I love but don't wear enough, and you give them a spray now, you might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.